Also, stabilizing services. I know because we've been through the budget crises that the services that all of you depend on are often at risk. I've been working closely with our legislators in Olympia to find solutions to that. So whether it's a police officer, or public health nurse, a restaurant inspector, or even a metro transit driver, those services are available to you on a regular basis, and you don't have to question that they'll be there next year. It's going to be tough, but that's my commitment to you as your county executive is to stabilize those services over time. And the reason for that is even when we're going to have economic tough times, when an individual family may be uncertain about where their next paycheck's coming from or what's happening in terms of their economic future, our community needs to have those services, so we are bound together, and those, whether it's a police officer or those services I mentioned, are there and stable for you, and you're not threatened not only in your home but into the broader community about what's happening. And that brings a sense of stability that all of us need to have. So as your county executive, I want to work with you, continue to represent you, be available to you, and make sure that we are in a position as a community to meet the future well, revitalize our economy, and have those services that we've all fought for available to each and every one of us. I would tell you that this is not a road to somewhere else for me. I told you that I did the Washington, D.C. tour duty, loved it. I had a chance to work for Scoop during the day, go to law school at night. Actually, I've said I got a good education at night and a great political education during the day, which is true. But coming home, I also had an opportunity to have these other experiences. But I have no desire to go back to Washington or to Olympia. This is the job I want to pursue, and it's not a path to some other office for myself. I'm committed to this county at this time in this position, and will not be moving on and trying something else. So you have my commitment to be your county executive 100% of the time, at least for one term, maybe more. So with that, I'd be happy to conclude, offer a chance for questions from each of you. I've had some really wonderful endorsements for the mayors you may be familiar with, were mentioned in the introductory. I've also been endorsed by Carpenter's Local 1797. I want to say thank you again for a great endorsement from the Carpenter's Local. And also from ASME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. And most recently this week, from the Amalgamated Transit Union, our transit drivers has endorsed me as well, Local 587. So we have a lot of labor support, a lot of support from Democrats, and a growing list of folks who are committed to this campaign and to this effort to be your next King County executive. So again, thanks for the chance to be here this evening, and I would welcome a chance to answer any questions that you might have. So, yes?
I have two. I try to take the bus into Seattle, and sometimes you catch it from Auburn, and I didn't check, but all of a sudden you have to catch it from Kent, you know, when I was late, but it didn't seem to make much difference, so I was just going to a book signing. But are we going to reinstate these routes? You know, public transportation is really important. And secondly, the Alaska Way Viaduct, when is that going to get settled, if ever?
So, first of all, with regard to transit, wherever I go in King County, this is not a new experience this year, but it has been for several years. The only consistent complaint about metro service or any bus service is there's not enough of it. Can we please get some more transit service? So we've been building transit service for some time now. I supported every transit initiative to get better and more service available well beyond downtown Seattle. So that has actually been occurring. In the last 3 years, we've gone from 100 million passengers per year for Metro to 120 million. So we have a 20% increase in passengers on Metro service just in the last 3 years, kind of unheard of. What we're finding is people ride the bus and they actually stay as bus riders. They stay with transit. They get used to the schedule, the system, they learn it, and it becomes a better way than for them at least getting to and from work than using a car. Our biggest challenge is going to be able to sustain that metro service because the local economy has hurt our sales tax revenues, and much of what we use to give you metro service is derived from the sales tax. So we are looking at some substantial cuts next year if we don't have a means by which to backfill it. So again, I've been working with our state legislators to find a way to save the metro system during this economic slump, at least for a period of time until our sales tax revenues recover and the economy recovers. But we're doing everything we can to keep existing routes available to make the system better. I will tell you, as Sound Transit opens and light rail opens this summer from downtown out to the airport, that will free up tens of thousands of metro hours to be redistributed. That's another way in which we can help provide better and more consistent service. So we're working on it all the time. And we're getting better at it. The public seems to like it, and give our commitment to make sure it works well for the future and to expand the system. Your second question with regard to the Alaska Way Viaduct, I think finally the governor and the mayor and our current county executive are in one place. The governor has made a commitment, it is as part of a state highway, to tear the existing Alaska Viaduct down. The mayor is completely supportive of that, as the our current executive. So that's going to happen. The big debate was over what would replace it. Last December, the three of them came together and said they were looking at a deep bored tunnel that would also augment two other prongs of this answer, which would be expanded transit service, as well as significant street improvements in Seattle, and the seawall being rebuilt. So who pays for what? The port would pay for the seawall improvements, which have to be done under any circumstances. The state would pay $2.8 million. I think they've already spent $0.4, so it's another $2.4 million for the bored tunnel. The city would pay for the street improvements, and we would, with the blessing of the legislature, pay for the transit improvements. So we're working on all four prongs of that, and it is my district currently as a King County Council member. I'm very concerned about what happens there. But the viaduct does need to come down. My wife and I and my son actually travel it all the time. It is a dangerous facility, and it's lived out its useful life. It had a 60-year useful life, and it is now at that point. It's got heavy use, 110,000 vehicle trips a day on that particular structure, so it gets worn out, and it's seismically suspect. So the governor said it's coming down. I think we found a solution. We simply have to implement it. So, yes, sir.
Seawall and the tunnel, earthquakes.
The seawall and the tunnel, and the question?
Earthquakes.
What happens in an earthquake?
Yeah.
Well, the seawall will be rebuilt to be seismically fit. It will withstand an earthquake.
Anything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. 500-year event. If we have one of those.
We are due for a big one, as we all know.
Right.
What about the tunnel?
Well, again, I mean, the most extreme earthquake, I don't think any of us or in any of our structures currently or in the future will be prepared for it, but it will be seismically fit as well. It's also being built away from the seawall and under First Avenue as opposed to right on the so the tunnel is upland from that in more stable ground, which is different than the cut and cover proposal a few years ago. But again, it will be built to the highest standards available today, cost-effective standards to withstand an earthquake. We're building, I should say, bored tunnels not only across the world, but we're building them here in this region. For Sound Transit, we built one through Beacon Hill. It's just been completed. It has been built to withstand these major earthquake events, the seismic events we have here. It's with Brightwater up in South Snohomish County. The conveyance lines that go from the treatment plant out to the outfall at Richmond Beach. Those are huge bored tunnel operations, which will also be built to withstand, for a different purpose, with conveyance of wastewater, treated wastewater. Those will be bored tunnels built to withstand earthquakes as well. So every design, every engineering outfit, every architect we talk to says we're going to be okay. I know it's always uncertainty, but we're paying a pretty penny for getting these projects built well.
So when you're up top on the ground, you're not going to have it cave in on you.
Unless you're on the bottom level of the viaduct.
That's kind of like what happened in San Francisco.
Right. That's the other alternative, right? Yeah. The question in the back.
What is your commitment in terms of King County Executive in taking your share of McNeil Island people, particularly sexual predators? Right now, Pierce County picks up the bulk of the sexual offenders who are released from McNeil and other places. Because King County has not been very good about providing housing, transitional housing for sex offenders. And, you know, we pick up a large percentage of the state's sex offenders. We're picking up a large percentage of King County's. What's your commitment to beginning to provide what's needed to pick up those sex offenders who originated in your counties?
Well, the first is I'd like to learn more about it. This is the first time I've heard that, and I'm sure as a resident of Pierce County, probably you're very sensitive to it. But if you could give me some more information about that to see if we have been behind or not doing our fair share, I'd like to be able to address it. So if we could get you a way to get in touch with me, I'd like to have some more information with that before I make a commitment. But if we haven't been doing our jobs, I certainly want to see what we can do to be more helpful.